In this video, I'm going to give you 25 frugal living tips that can help you save money and stop wasting money so that you can spend more on the things and people that are important to you. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name's Jonathan, and in this video, like I said, I'm going to be giving you 25 of my favorite frugal living tips. Some are very small changes you can make in your life, and some are much larger. But most importantly, they're not all going to be for everyone. Everyone's going to have different priorities in their life. The word frugal can have some negative connotations, and some people like to think that it's quite a negative thing to be. So before I start, I just want to clarify this. There is a big difference between being cheap and being frugal. Frugal living is the act of spending intentionally, and when done properly, it means you can prioritize the things that are most important to you, whether that be investing, retiring early, traveling, or paying off debt. You cut back on things that don't matter to you so that you can spend more on things that do matter to you. Whereas being cheap is basically cutting costs at all costs. So because I've got quite a lot of tips, I've got 25 tips, I'm going to try and summarize them as quickly as I can for you, whilst hopefully still giving you enough information so that you can apply these tips to your life. Number 1, rotate subscriptions. So the first tip is to rotate your subscription services. There are so many subscription services now. You've got Disney Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Discovery Plus, Now Entertainment, Hulu, HBO Max. The list is endless. And a lot of people have usually got a few of these at the same time, but often will mainly use one of them more than the others. So the idea is to only have one at a time. So every 1 to 2 months, you cancel one and start another. Then you watch everything you want that's on that subscription service. So for example, you watch everything that you wanted to watch that's come out recently on Netflix. Then you cancel Netflix, then you get an Amazon Prime membership, and then you watch all the things you want to watch on there, and so on and so on. There's really no point in paying for subscription services that you're just not getting the value out of. Number 2, use time rules. The next tip is to use time rules for pretty much anything apart from necessities like groceries. I use 2 time rules depending on the cost of the thing I'm buying. If it's £200 or less, I will use the 72-hour rule. So for example, let's say I put something in my Amazon basket that's £60. I will leave it in there and wait 72 hours, and then I'll come back to it and see if I still need/want this item. And for anything over the £200, I'll use the 30-day rule. So I'll wait at least 30 days before making any big purchase. Using these rules will just hopefully help you reduce the chance of getting buyer's remorse and just making silly impulse purchases. I now use these rules for everything, but I had to learn the hard way. And I wish that I'd always used these rules because I would have avoided a lot of bad purchases. Number 3, use browser extensions like Honey. Next is to download money-saving browser extensions. For example, Honey. You may or may not have heard of Honey. I mean, you've probably heard of honey from bees, but maybe not this honey. Anyway, basically you download it as a browser extension, and when checking out on a lot of websites, it will tell you if there's any vouchers or deals that you can get to get money off your basket. So it can potentially save you money on every online purchase you make. I also really like the feature on Amazon where it'll tell you if the price has recently gone up or down. So if it's recently gone up, you can wait a bit and see if the price goes down, which I find often it does. Number 4, make coffee at home. Now, I own a coffee shop, so I'm definitely not saying never go to a coffee shop, because for a lot of people, getting a barista prepared coffee is more than just a coffee. It's the whole experience that you get in a coffee shop. It's the complex flavors of espresso, the interactions with baristas, sitting down with your family and friends with a hot drink in a relaxing atmosphere. All that said, if you're going to Starbucks every morning and get a coffee on your way to work, then it's going to quickly add up. So make your coffee at home for a fraction of the price and just put it in a takeout mug. And when you do go to a coffee shop, try an independent, because they need your business a lot more than Starbucks does. Number 5, try a no spend challenge. So this is when you set a time period like a weekend or a week or even a month, and you don't spend anything except for essentials like groceries and bills. So not only will you save money because obviously you're not going to be spending anything, the main benefit of these challenges, it gets you out of the habit or routine of spending, as most people do it without even realizing it. And it can help you realize that you can still enjoy yourself without spending money every day or every week. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel. Thank you so much in advance. Tip number 6 is grow your own vegetables. Now, I've lived in a flat for a few years now, so I've not been able to do this recently. But if you have access to a garden, then consider growing your own veg. You could start small by growing some small fruits and herbs in some plant pots. Then as you learn more, you could even start your own vegetable patch. This isn't going to save you thousands, but the small savings can really add up. And for a lot of people like me, it's a lot of fun too. Tip number 7, repair, don't replace. The next tip is to repair and not replace. And this goes for pretty much anything. Sweater got a hole in it, sew it up. Plant pot breaks, glue it back together. You get the idea. Instead of replacing things when they break, first try to fix them. And if you don't know how, try a YouTube search. And this could potentially save you a lot of money. Tip number 8 is avoid expensive drinks. I've spoken about this one a lot because I see a lot of people spending a lot of money on expensive drinks. Whether it be takeout coffee, alcohol, bottled water, or fizzy drinks. Make your coffee at home, reduce your alcohol consumption, buy a water filter, and if you don't like the taste of water, just add a low-cost squash to it. Tip number 9 is quit unused gym memberships. If you've got a gym membership and you're not using it, ask yourself whether you will actually get the value out of it in the future. But you have to be honest with yourself. There's no point in saying you're gonna go, paying for it, and then not going. Don't lie to yourself and save yourself some money. Tip number 10 is to batch cook. Again, I've spoken about this one a good few times too, but batch cooking is a really good way to save money on your food costs. Usually, the more portions you make, the less each portion will cost. But even if you live alone, you don't have to make loads of portions to make use of this tip. Even if you just make double the amount and make 2 portions, you could have the other portion the next day for lunch or your dinner. Tip number 11 is to downsize. This next one definitely isn't for everyone, but relocating or downsizing your accommodation could save you a lot of money. Like I said, not everyone can or should do this one, but if your work is quite flexible, then you should really consider either downsizing to a smaller place or relocating to somewhere cheaper. In fact, this is exactly what we did last month. We didn't downsize, but we did move somewhere where we got the same size place for a considerably cheaper rent. This is mainly because we moved from a large city centre to a small town. As my job has become more flexible, I've been able to do this. So if this is an option for you, then it's definitely something you should consider. Number 12 is money questions. Before you make a purchase, you ask yourself 4 questions to make sure it's the right thing to do. Number 1, do I need it? Number 2, can I afford it? Number 3, is it worth it? And number 4, do I only want this thing because society tells me that's what I should want? I spoke about these 4 questions in my last video, but in essence, asking yourself these 4 questions before making a purchase and answering them honestly can help you avoid buyer's remorse and help you avoid buying things you don't need, want, can afford, or only think that you want. And even better would be to use these questions in conjunction with the 30-day rule and the 72-hour rule from my second tip. Number 13 is look in your pantry. Another great way to save money on food is start planning your meals around what's already in your cupboard. Not only will you have to buy less ingredients, but you'll also waste much less food. I never used to be very good at this, but as I've done it more, I've got a lot better. I used to look through the cupboards, fridge and freezer, and they would all be full, and I would say, we've got no food. But now I can look at some pretty bare cupboards and still create a meal. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Number 14 is cashback. There are so many ways to get cashback now. You've got websites like Top Cashback, credit cards, which I personally don't like. Even some supermarkets offer cashback incentives. Basically, just make sure you're taking advantage of all the ways you can get cashback. If you're in the cryptocurrency sphere, then I'd highly recommend getting a Crypto.com Visa card. I've had one of these cards now for a few months, and I use it for pretty much all of my spending. The card I have gives you 2% cashback on all of your spending, which is better than pretty much any credit card. And you also get 100% Spotify rebate every month. But the more of the Crypto.com's own token, the CRO token that you hold, the more cashback and reward you can get. You can get up to 8% cashback on all of your spending. If that sounds like something you're interested in, then make sure you use the code and link down below, and you and me will both get a $25 referral bonus. Thank you very much if you use my link. Number 15 is budget. I think I mentioned budgeting in pretty much every video, and I'm sorry, but I do it because it's the most important personal finance tool that you can use. And if you haven't got a budget, then you need to start today. The only way to gain control of your finances and reach your financial goals is to have an effective budget. I will link a video up there where I go over my favorite budgeting method. So make sure you check that out if you're struggling with where to start. Number 16 is turn off radiators in unused rooms. The next one is about saving energy at home, and it's never been more important to be aware of energy saving techniques with everything that's going on in the world. But you probably already know all of the obvious ways, like turning your heating down 1 degree or turning off appliances when you're not using them. But I rarely hear people mention this tip, which is just to turn radiators off in rooms you're not using. So only have the radiators on in rooms that you're actually currently using, and as long as your doors are closed, then it will save you quite a bit in energy. I mean, what's the whole point in heating the whole house if you just sat in one room? For example, I work from this home office, so during the day I have one radiator turned on, which is just this one, and then when I'm finished in here, I just turn that one off and then turn the ones on in the lounge. And it only takes me like 3 seconds, so it's really not that much hassle either. I thought I'd mention this one because I don't often hear people talk about it. Number 17, buy second hand. Whenever possible, always try and buy second hand, whether it be a car or clothing. As soon as someone else owns something, its price plummets, and we can take advantage of that. Go to a charity shop, Facebook Marketplace, or a used car site. Not only will this save you money, but it's also better for the environment. And if you go to a charity shop, you're also helping out a charity. Number 18, sell stuff you no longer use. So not only can you buy used items, you can sell your used items. Most people have got a few £100 sitting in their closet or attic. So get that stuff out, take a picture of it, put it on a second-hand site, and make some money. The most popular ones are Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, Craigslist, and Depop. Number 19 is games night. The next tip is to have a game night. Instead of going to the cinema or going to the pub, pull out those old board games you've got in the cupboard. I personally love a board game night and prefer this to going out any day. But this tip can be taken more broadly by just having a free evening in. Board games are just one thing that you could do. You could have a film night, go stargazing, play hide and seek. There's lots of things you can do that are totally free. Number 20 is to use multiple comparison sites. So you've probably used a comparison site before for your car or your house insurance or phone insurance. But if you're only using one comparison site, you could be missing out on the cheapest deal because not every company is on every single comparison website. So I would suggest that you use at least 2 comparison websites to find the best deal. Also bear in mind that some companies aren't on any comparison websites. Like in the UK, we have Direct Line, who aren't on any comparison website. So make sure you check out these types of companies too. Number 21 is to use your library. Most people do not make most of their local library. Probably because a lot of people don't actually know the amount of services that they offer. But your local library probably offers more services than you think. My local library offers free Wi-Fi, free printing, and even access to audiobooks and ebooks, all completely free. Number 22 is don't be cheap. So like I said in the beginning, there's a massive difference between being frugal and being cheap. But being cheap can actually end up costing you more money. I have spoken about this in detail in another video, but when you try and cut costs in every single way, it's very easy to fall into the trap of cutting costs no matter the cost. For example, spending more on a quality item could save you money because budget or cheaper items will offer wear or break down faster, and you'll have to spend more money buying a new one anyway. Number 23 is to buy store brand. In most cases, store branded items are just as good as their branded counterpart, except they are much cheaper. If you're unsure about using store branded item, I would encourage you to just give maybe one item a try, and if you like it, stick with it, and then try a different item. I think you might be surprised, and what have you got to lose? I did a pretty extreme test of this in one of my recent videos when I tried the £10 Aldi budget challenge. I was definitely surprised with a few items that I bought. I'll put a link to the video up there if that sounds like something you're interested in. Number 24 is don't drive. If you don't need to have a car, then I would seriously consider not having one. Transportation costs are our second largest expense after housing. According to a survey, the average total cost of owning a car on finance in the UK is just under £6,000 a year. So as you can see, not having a car can save you a lot of money. I personally haven't had a car now for around 6 months because at this moment in my life, the cost of a car just isn't worth the value that it can give me. Number 25 is delete food delivery apps. Deliveroo, Uber Eats, Just Eat, Food Hub, Domino's. Delete them. Delete them all. If you struggle with ordering takeout food when you get home tired, then one way to help avoid this bad habit is just to make it more difficult to do. And the easiest way to do this is just to delete the app. And if you're really struggling, then delete your accounts. So then you would have to remake an account if you ever wanted to order again. Let me know in the comments if you've got any frugal living tips that I haven't mentioned in this video that have helped you save money. If you want more money saving tips, then make sure you check out this playlist for loads more ways to save money. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.